All right, we will be back to the action here in just a few minutes as officials finalize a few things of the teams here and get back on the track. I'd like to thank all our volunteers for making this happen, our medics and our track maintenance crew to keep everyone safe on the track here as we go through very huge, intense play. 2 days of Derby, today being the second day. It's just our first game of the day as well. So one of the Bs will be starting in the penalty box as well as one of the Dallas team members. So it'll be 3-on-3 with defenders. It's a familiar jammer for the Bees starting the second half of Fatal Air going up against Animal Style of Dallas. We are ready to go right now in our second half. Dallas with a 2-point lead, 79-77. So expect a lot of lead changes going on in this last half of this game between two very physical teams. Rolling whistle is going to get us going. Once again, your jammers at the start of the second half here are Fatal Air of the Bees and Animal Style of Dallas. Fatal Air trying to push their way through. Ferdinand takes down Animal Style as Fatal Air gets that lead jammer position. Animal Style, though, quick hops and skips, gets through the pack. Now the Bees on a scoring run, get 4. And calls that one off. So right in our way, we have ourselves a lead change, 81-79.
First of many lead changes, I'm sure. Right, we're all queued up with Princess Leia jamming for Dallas and Fatal Error once again up for the Bees. The defenders are getting right up on the jam line. And we're going to take a quick official timeout here. Alrighty. Looks like we're back, ready to get back to the action. And off they go. Fatal error, the quick nudge there against Princess Leia at the beginning. And slams up into the wall of Dallas defenders. Some tight defense there, but Fatal error makes it past. Princess Leia gets recycled back to the jam line by Ferdinand. And Fatal error is coming around on the first scoring pass. Looks like we've got a star pass for Dallas. And it looks like that's complete. So Roxy is going to be your new jammer for Dallas. And Fatal error knocked out into the middle of the track. Roxy hits the deck, pops right back up. And hard hit from Ferdinand, but stays on their feet. So we've got Roxy is through the initial pass. Fatal error took some hard hits from Loch Ness Monster and recycled back to the back of the pack. And Fatal error is going to call it off. Looks like both teams got some points there. We're down to a 1-point game now. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 points.
Raycon the Destroyer. Raycon the Destroyer out for the Bees, going up against Twinkle Toes of Dallas. 3-on-3, the defenders. Raycon to the outside, swings to the inside. Twinkle Toes all the way through. Let's see who's got lead first. I believe Raycon may have gotten the lead first. Yes, they did. Now some jammer on jammer action. Twinkle Toes able to swing on through. Let's see what each jammer does as they approach the pack on their scoring runs. Raycon recycled back briefly, but back into it. Twinkle Toes trying to slam through a tough tripod of Bees. Raycon, some one-on-one blocking done by Wham Bam. Slow their progress down. Have a forearm call that sends Wham Bam of Dallas to the box. Raycon slips on through, but so does Twinkle Toes. So 4 points for each team as that gets called off.
We got an official review called by the Bees. All right, we've got a verdict on that official review. The Bees will retain their review. They were calling for a high block on the Dallas jammer. And it looks like we've got a Dallas official review now. So we're going to see what happens with that. Alrighty, we've got a verdict on Dallas's official review. They do not retain the review. They were asking for a cut track call on one of the Bees players. That is not retained, so that means that Dallas does not have an official review left to use for this second period of play. So we are back to the action now, and Fatal Error is jamming for the Bees. Held up there by some tough defense, knocked out of bounds there by Dallas Block Nest Monster. Right back up, Fatal Error slips through the middle, and done with that initial pass. So, approaching the pack now. Get a brace for impact and a little hippity hop there around the outside. Fatal Error makes it past the defenders. Our jammers back in for Dallas. Looks like Twinkle Toes there. And meanwhile, Fatal Error attempts an apex jump, lands in the middle of the ocean, has to go back to the outside. Twinkle Toes trying to make a star pass, but having trouble reaching through. It looks like star pass is complete now, so that's Roxy jamming for Dallas. And the Bees, Fatal Error, coming up behind the defender and knocked into the inside of the track by Dallas, number 22, Block Nest Monster. Meanwhile, Roxy's completed another pass and coming around trying to score some points here. Knocked to the middle by number 2, Night Terror. Tough defense here by both teams, making those jammers work for every point they get. Fatal Error has slipped through again, score some points. Roxy has made it through, trying to come up here before the jam ends. We got bodies hit the floor. Both 404s from both teams went down, and they are back up though. That is the end of the jam. Both teams are above 100 now, at or above 100.
Right, Graycon the Destroyer out there against Animal Style as we begin this next jam here. Two very jukey, quick jammers. Animal Style gets lead, but Graycon is hot on their heels. That'll force a call off. 0-0 jam, very quick.
All right, after a quick jam, looks like Graycon the Destroyer is going to stay in. Jam for the Bees, going up against Frightmare from Dallas. Those Bees defenders are right there up in Frightmare's face. No breathing room allowed. They're off. Graycon doing some weaving around, but knocked to the outside by Dallas defenders. Frightmare's pushing around the backs of those Bees and gets out in front, so we've got Frightmare is the lead jammer for Dallas. Whipping around turn 3. Back on their feet, though. Coming up for her first scoring pass, while Graycon is still stuck on the initial. Some very intense defense from these teams. Graycon's pushing hard, though, and has cleared the initial pass there. Going around for a scoring pass. And Frightmare seems to be tied up in traffic here. And getting the signal to call the jam.
All right, 22 intense minutes left in this game. Twinkle Toes back out against Fatal Air. Like the Dallas pivot will be starting in the penalty box at the beginning of this one. I believe there was a directional call called at the very end of that last jam. Off once again. A lot of shoving, pushing going on as the Dallas draws back the Bees jammer. Twinkle Toes trying to extend out. Almost no pack. And see, looks like we did have a penalty called on that sends one of the Dallas defenders. So Dallas having some penalty trouble now, as now 3 of their defenders are in the box, leaving only 1 to stop Fatal Air, which is a very tall task to do. Fatal Air with 4 points. Twinkle Toes fighting their way through the pack still. And we do have a handoff to Roxy. Roxy is the new jammer for Dallas. They're being recycled back by that very tough Bees defense. Meanwhile, 8 points for Fatal Air. Fatal Air on through, having to get through their own players in order to make it through. You also have some more penalty trouble going on. A lot of directional calls. This time it's going to be on the Bees. The Bees defenders heading to the penalty box. Fatal Air calls that one off after scoring 16 points, and we have ourselves a 121 to 103 game with 20 minutes left.
High energy here in the second half of our first game. We've got Just Kevin coming up to jam, and it looks like we've got an official timeout called. So we're going to take a little pause while the officials sort something out.
Take this time to thank our sponsors once again, the Pie Pizzeria, voted Utah's best pizza, providing top quality handmade pizza, salad, subs, and more for over 40 years. I'd like to thank 187 Killer Pads, and also the Derby Warehouse, and Dick's Sporting Goods for their generous donation to Wasatch Junior Roller Derby through their Dick's Sporting Goods Sports Matters grant.
Give a quick shout out to our volunteers who are helping out. We could not do roller derby without a lot of people helping and a lot of volunteer support, so we really appreciate all you volunteers helping us make this happen and making it safe for these kids to play. So that's the end of the timeout, and we are ready for action. Animal Style jamming for Dallas. Just Kevin going for the Bees, and Animal Style with some quick feet gets out in front. Lead jammer to the Dallas team. And Animal Style is wasting no time getting around on that first scoring pass. Looks like Just Kevin found himself in the penalty box, so we've got a power jam here. 30 seconds for Dallas to try to make big things happen. Animal Style is wasting no time, zipping around the track, making it look easy. And quick pivot there around the defenders that gets past for 4 more points. And we've got the Bees coming, knocking some defenders down, while Animal Style comes around for another scoring pass, slams into the Bees defenders, and they're going to put the brakes on that Animal Style there. Looks like we've got enough time for Just Kevin to come back on the track. So Animal Style made it through. And we've got a couple more penalties being assessed. One penalty for one of the Dallas blockers. Animal Style slips around the outside for more points. And Just Kevin slamming up against those defenders from Dallas and made it through. Let's see if the Bees can get some points here. Animal Style with a hop, skip, and jump over the apex for another successful scoring pass. And we've got blockers knocking people away. Dallas pivot has put a stop to Just Kevin, while Animal Style slips around the outside for some more points. And it looks like 24 so far in this jam for Animal Style. And we've got player down. Jam is over, and we are calling this for an injury, so we're going to keep things a little low so Gator and the medics can be attended to. All right, always good to see the skater leave on their own skates, on their own power. So Tiny Giant is going to take a trip over to the medic's corner and get taken care of.
Officials having ourselves a bit of discussion here, so we have a little bit of a official timeout before we get started once again.
This is one reason why the pads and helmets and everything, protective gear is so important for these athletes, because this is a full contact sport. They've got head protection, joint protection, and of course mouth guards to protect the teeth and some protection against concussion.
All right, rolling whistle gets us back underway. So we had a big lead change there, 130 to 125, but I'm sure the Bees are going to be wanting to fix that up here in no time at all. However, we do have a power jam starting here as Blockness Monster of Dallas gets going. Swings to the outside, trying to get through. Nice twisting, good moves. But it is Night Terror with a big hit. Yeah, and there is a track cut on Blockness Monster. They were taken out and they re-entered. But no, it looks like Night Terror was assessed a penalty as well, so I don't know if the player that knocked out the jammer was given a penalty. It must have happened after that jam, though. And once again, we have some penalty calls, some directional calls. As physical as this game is getting, it's not a bit of a surprise here, but Fatal Air is the jammer now for the Bees. Blockness on a bit of a roll. And we do have some confusion as far as who's the jammer being in the penalty box for Dallas. We'll see if they can get that sorted out here. Meanwhile, it is Fatal Air as the jammer for the Bees out on the track right now. Racking up some points. Right now it's a 4-4 jam. Whole lot of action happening right in front of us here at number 4, turn number 4. Big jumps, and Fatal Air is through. 8 points for Fatal Air. 1 point away from taking over lead as that time runs out. We'll see what some calls are going to be made by the officials here that maybe will affect the upcoming jam. Yeah, official timeout as they will discuss what happened at the last jam amongst themselves. May had to do something with the Dallas jammer. A team timeout called by Dallas. I'll give 60 seconds to talk over some strategy. Yeah, well, we are just above the halfway mark of our second half here. It's a huge, intense game. 1 point game. So we can probably expect this to go all the way to the last jam. Keep in mind, both these teams have one more game each to play here later today. The Derby Devils will be back at 1:30 p.m. to take on host Wasatch Assault. And the Killer Bees will be back at 3:30 to take on the Renegades. Animal Style out there for Dallas against Graycon the Destroyer. Jam number 10 underway. Graycon sneaks through, but no, stopped by Obliviate. Animal Style stopped by Postman. And it is Graycon with the S of the lead jammer. Graycon on a scoring run. Down but not out, and able to get back to their feet for 4 points. Animal Style trying to get some points here before the call off. And successfully was called off before any points could be scored by Dallas.
Right, so the Bees have a very thin lead at the moment. Looks like we've got jammers 404 and 404. That's Fatal Error against Twinkle Toes. We've seen this matchup before. There's the whistle. There they go. Fatal Error pushing through up at the front to take a lead jammer position, while Twinkle Toes is stuck behind a wall of bees but slips around the outside. Little spin move there to get past some defenders. And Fatal Error hops around a defender to make a first successful scoring pass. So, Fatal Error coming around to the back of the pack now. Smashing takes a hard hit by Roxy, knocked out of bounds, so they get recycled back as far as position will allow. We've got Twinkle Toes knocked down, but popped back up. Fatal Errors has made their way through again for another 4 points. And Twinkle Toes knocked out of bounds by a defender. And we're going to call the end. We got an injury here. Leave the sea twinkle toes up on their skates.
Yeah, definitely hope all these players can return back to play again later today. This is a very physical game. They're definitely working hard to get all these points and try to pull ahead of this very tough game between these two teams. Not just pulling out all the stops. Hope to see that continue. Fatal Air against Animal Style. Fatal Air shoving the way through is down. Back on their feet. Animal Style, very jukey, very quick. Going to the outside, trying to get through. Lead is given to Fatal Air, but Animal Style pulls ahead, and that's going to force that call off for a 0-0 jam.
Looks like Fatal Air is eager to jam again. Dallas is going to swap it to Fresh Jammer Frightmare. Looks like both teams are down at least one player. There's the starting whistle. Fatal Air gives a little tap to Frightmare, knocked him out of bounds. And hops over. Fatal Error is lead jammer for the Bees, but here comes Frightmare quickly on Fatal Error's heels. And Fatal Error is not going to take any chances, calls the end of that jam. So we've got another 0-0 jam.
Just like that, Animal Style, after a brief break, is right back out there. Fatal Air maybe opting to stay out on the track for another jam. 3-on-3 with the blockers right now. Animal Style to the outside, Fatal Air to the inside, Fatal Air on through. Coming around for a scoring pass. We do have a penalty being called, a multiplayer call. We'll see who leaves the track. It is one of the Bees. Animal Style is through. And 4 points is Fatal Air before calling that one off. That extends the Bees' lead, 149 to 134. Just coming under close to 10 minutes left in this game.
Another quick, intense jam there. 15-point lead for the Bees, but that could disappear very quickly. We'll see what happens here in this next jam. We've got Raycon the Destroyer up jamming for the Bees. Going against Frightmare for Dallas. And both teams' defenders right up against the jam line. Put the pressure on early. Raycon's getting shoved out and recycled back, and we've got an injury. We're going to take a minute here. skates, being helped over to the medic booth, medic corner. We've got Fatal Error queued up to jam against Frightmare. Looks like the Bees will be starting one blocker down. All right, here they go. Fatal Error skipping ahead to lead jammer position. Frightmare is right on their heels, though. We're going to see what happens. Looks like we've got a penalty assessed to Dallas Jammer, so we've got Power Jam here. Fatal Error out there making a casual circle around turn one, and now signals the pack to get moving. They're going to try to space things out, get through. And Fatal Error dancing around defenders, and looks like they got knocked out at the beginning. They're in the middle of the track. Recycled back a bit. And our Dallas player is back on the track. Catching right up to Fatal Error. And the pack is on the move. Jammers doing a little jammer on jammer action here. And Fatal Error calls it off.
At 12 points on that jam for Fatal Error. Extends the lead, but by no means keeps it safe. Fatal Error stays out there up against Animal Star. Penalty box is cleared. And we're off once again. Two very good jammers, each of the different style that they bring. One more chooky, the other far more direct and hard hitting. Lead still open. The pivot for the Bees goes to the penalty box just as Fatal Error gets lead. Animal Style through the pack now. On a scoring run is Fatal Error. They get, I believe, all 4 points before calling it off.
Quick jam there. We've got Rumble Guppy up jamming for the Bees. Going up against Frightmare for Dallas. And our defenders for both teams take their places. And squish right up against the line. Get things off to a aggressive start to this jam. Some hard hits, but Guppy is still pushing through. And lead jam is given to Rumble Guppy, but Frightmare is right there on their tails. Takes a hard hit from the Bees pivot. They'll pop back up. And Guppy is stuck behind a wall of Dallas. Calls off the jam from the ground. So we got an official timeout. Another injury. We are happy to see Guppy on their skates, leaving the track on their own power. So we're going to get queued up for some more action here shortly. We've got a familiar matchup with the Jammers, Animal Style, up against Fatal Error. And off they go. Fatal Error squeezes through the middle of the pack and gets out as lead jammer. Animal Style is weaving around, managed to get through the pack also. So both jammers are on a scoring pass now. And we're going to see what happens. The pack is on the move. Jammers are on the move. Fatal Error skips around the apex and calls the jam off.
Got 6 minutes left. Right now we have a 169 to 137 game. Raycon back out on the track for the Killer Bees. That brings out Frightmare for Dallas as their jammer. Killer Bees start right up at that jam line, trying to hold back Frightmare. Raycon, the burst of speed gets through for Lee Jammer. Now looking for some offensive help is Frightmare to try to push on through there. Raycon now on their scoring run, approaching turn number 2. Frightmare able to squeeze on by out of the pack. But no, now they get a track cut call, so this is going to be a power jam. Graycon with a cut track, so one jammer will go right back out. However, the Graycon will only have to serve as much time as Frightmare did, so they should be back out on the track here in just a few seconds. We are winding down to the final minutes of this game. Where Dallas is going to be throwing everything they got to try to retake a lead. A lot of bodies hitting the ground here at turn number 2. Frightmare up against the postman. Tried to shove their way through, got caught by Slimy Booger. Raycon being recycled back by Catastrophe. Catastrophe with some good one-on-one blocking. And we have ourselves a jammer change as Roxy becomes the jammer for Dallas. Now swinging around on a scoring run of their own. One more to beat does Roxy. Roxy does it, 4 points. Raycon finally makes their way through the pack just as Postman gets a call that sends them to the penalty box. Roxy hit out by Slimy Booger. Raycon now coming around for the scoring run. It is starting off, so no points at the end of that. However, the Bees are going to give an official review, and we'll see if that affects how that jam ends or how it'll affect this next jam coming up.
All right, we've got our verdicts. The official review is not retained. So both teams have used their official reviews. We've got 3 minutes, 42 seconds left. We're going to get back to the action with Animal Style going up against Fatal Error. Both teams' defenders in very tight. Fatal Error has made it out in front to be lead jammer. Meanwhile, Animal Style is trying to dip and dodge their way through the pack. And they're down to the last defender, knocked out of bounds by that defender, though. So they're going to get recycled back. Both jammers getting recycled here. And our pivot for the Bees is back on the track now. Back in position. And tough defense to get these jammers through. Looks like we've got a star pass for Dallas. It's successful. So Obliviate is your new jammer for Dallas. And Fatal Error wastes no time and ends the jam.
Time winding down here in our game. Bees with a lead, but not safe lead. Frightmare out for Dallas. Once again, Fatal Air going to be staying out there as a jammer. Got a clear penalty box, so we are off with a full team of Derby go out there right now. Wham Bam brings back Fatal Air, just as Frightmare trying to shove their way through for lead, but doesn't get it. However, the lead is still open as Wham Bam tries to take out Fatal Air. Fatal Air stays in and gets lead. Frightmare still working on their initial. This is Fatal Air, goes in for their scoring pass now. Goes to the outside and manages to stay in. And now it is Roxy as the jammer for Dallas. 40-point game with 90 seconds left. Fatal Air calls that off. I believe before Dallas could score. No, Dallas scored 2 on that one before the call-off. So good job on Roxy not giving up till the very end.
Got a minute left to play. Animal Style jamming for Dallas. Graycon the Destroyer up for the Bees. And we got a team timeout, so 1 minute breather here right at the end.
Yeah, good strategy to stop that clock here. It's still within winning. It'll take a heck of a jam, but it is possible. It has been done before, and you know Dallas is putting up big numbers as well as the Bees. So we'll see. Maybe depending on how quick the jam goes, you know, there may even be space for one more jam if there's still another team timeout for the Bees. They could use to stop that clock. So getting lead and being able to control that clock is going to be key in this next jam here.
You can bet that neither team is going to be holding back. Back to it. There they go. Graycon out for an early lead. Lead jammer. Animal Style is right on their heels. Skating fast. And looks like they're going to go for it. We're going to see what happens. The pack is on the move. Anything could happen here. A lot of activity on the track. Graycon tries to jump over the apex and knock down to the ground. Animal Style slips out in front to get some points. And Graycon is coming back for another attempt on scoring. Dances around a couple defenders that hit the deck. And spinning, still on their feet. Graycon's out for a successful scoring pass. Animal Style getting held up by a wall of bees, trying to get through. Here comes Graycon, creeping up on the pack again. Animal Styles made it through on a successful scoring pass. And Graycon is casually slipping around, calls the end of the jam. That's the end of our game. Tonight we're going to get the scores, make sure everything is all tallied up correctly, and then that's a wrap for this first game of the day. Make some noise for these players. They both teams put up a heck of a game.
Both these teams even got one more game to go here. Our next game was slotted for 10:30, but that, of course, will be pushed back now. We will get back to you whenever we get a new start time for that game between the Renegades and the Cherry Bombs. But wow, what a way to start off this first day, or this second day, the first game of the second day here. And definitely look forward to watching these two later again this afternoon. All right, congratulate these teams. They played a very physical, hard-fought game. It was a lot of fun to call. Very exhausting game just to call here, so I can't imagine what they're feeling right now out there on the track. That is it. So our official score is 188 to 151. Killer Bees just making their way through a tough game to get the lead over the win over Dallas. We will be back with our next game. Again, that is the Renegades against the Cherry Bombs. Time to be determined, but we will be back here to call that game as soon as they are ready and able to go.